new one. Yeah, the customer wants a new feature. You need to control it. Otherwise, you will be failed. You cannot complete your project on time or within the budget. Yeah, and you need to organize. That's your project manager role. Organize different resources together, right? So where's money? We need to spend it. Yeah. Where's people? You know, what's your time? Organize. And planning, always in the planning. Yeah. Which should we do first? Which should we do second? Which can we do in parallel? Yeah. And monitor. You need to monitor everybody. You know, you say you have done this today. You know, you need to monitor whether you have done. Maybe you take vacation, or maybe you have a family urgency. What should you do? Yeah, who will cover this task? Of course, control, right? You need to control, yeah, because they have a limited budget, yeah, limited scope, and time is well defined. You must fit the time. The team one must present 10 o'clock today. That's time. You need to, control. Manage and monitor. So this is a key word for project management. So what's the purpose of the project management? Well, on time. You need to deliver everything on time. Yeah, and time is everything. Budget, then running over the budget. But in the real world, right? Always running over budget. Particularly government project, right? Always. The budget, but for your company project, you cannot run too much over the budget. And if you're always running project over budget, right, you have trouble. And you have to deliver specification according to mutual agreement. Particularly, a lot of Indian companies doing outsourcing, right? Like Infosys, Tata, right? They're well defined. What's your project specification, and before the deadline, you have to deliver that result according to specification. Yeah, and if you miss some of the parts, you cannot get paid. Yeah, you cannot get payment for your project, also project. So typically. As a project manager, well, you have multiple options. Which project you're going to do? You select, right? Make sure you select the right project. Yeah, not too ambitious, not too conservative. Something you're able to do. Yeah, very important. If this is your first few projects, right? You have to be successful. Otherwise, you will fail. Yeah. So you need to select the project. So typically, we IT people, CIO, Chief Information Officer, we develop projects support business, like a digital twin project to support grocery store automation, right? Yeah, future grocery store. You can deliver it online and people in store, that's future vision. You support corporate strategy. Even your CEO not interested, right? You want to do it. Yeah, you support your CEO, that vision. You need to support company overall business strategy. Can be part of the marketing distribution. Yeah, can be some part of the supply chain. For example, for grocery store, right? The supply chain is very crucial. Right now, when you buy beef or fish or chicken, you don't know where is it produced. Yeah, maybe that pork is abused in somewhere, right? You should not buy it, yeah? And so this support, distribution can be support production field, right? Yeah, use the digital twins support, the farmer, vertical farm, to produce fresh vegetable. Yeah, R&D can support R&D. So this is all business function. And you have to meet the regulation, right? Some of them you cannot, cannot do it. It's regulated, yeah. You cannot use the digital currency, right now in a bank or in a transaction because the government has not agreed you do that. Yeah, you have to meet the regulation. Of course, the financial perspective always important for your project. And so, what's your value for your project, right? Yeah. Typical CIO get this kind of question. What's your value for your project? Well, what kind of profit you can bring the company? What's kind of the cost reduction, right? You can save because the digital twin, right? Investment. So, Kurogo, actually they have a lot of initiative. They spend a lot of money, different drone delivery and data analysis, AI, and fulfillment automation, right? They spend a lot of money. While the cost of the company profit margins drop. That's a big issue for them. And cash flow, right? And evaluate, I remember I'm a professional product manager, right? So I led on the first touchscreen phone development with Motorola, right? So the typical budget about $5 million. Yeah. Then we have about 100 engineers in R&D in Beijing. Yeah. So as a product manager, and the project manager worked for me, and we developed different project plan. So that's typically different product line. Yeah. So each of the product line, which form, you have to financially develop forecast. How much sale we deliver such product? What's the price? In the next 5 years, say typical that time 5 years, now probably 3 years life cycle. How much your sale you can achieve? What's the cost to put the $5 million, right? And what's unit cost, right? Then how much profit you can bring to your company, right? Yeah. So you have to do this financial analysis. Otherwise, your boss will not approve your $5 million budget. Yeah. You have nothing. Without the budget, right? You do nothing. Yeah. So I remember even winter time, very cold, like January, right? Typical January, I flew to Chicago, Motorola headquarters, right? Yeah. Try to convince my big boss, VP, right? Oh, very good project. Yeah. We need to invest. Yeah. Many days. Then eventually, yes, approve. Take the budget, fly to Beijing to development. Yeah. And that's our first touchscreen phone developed. So this is a financial perspective, very important in the real world, right? So that's why you need some, accounting, financial management skills as a project management. So the typical one is called ROI. You guys know what I mean by ROI, right? Yeah. Return on investment. You say you want $5 million. How much return, profit you can do, right? And MVP, NPV. Yeah, that's percent value, right? So that's accounting term. Yeah. So the money after you product develop the next 3 years, you generate a different amount of money. You put the money compare today. What's the value for now? Yeah. And this relates to interest, right? And compared to $5 million today. Yeah. And then payout period. All this financial term, you need to do that, right? That's why they love you MBA graduate, because you guys know accounting, financial management. While the project selection, right? So typical multiple projects. So what do you like to select, right? It can be an intuition. You feel this is a good project, you can do it, yeah. And you can use decision metrics to select, yeah, which project you're going to do, yeah. Use the scientific way. You can use the financial metrics like ROI, NPV, yeah, and payout period. And even you can doing complex financial measure like a real option approach, right? Can be very complex. So eventually you will write a business case, yeah, typically done by product manager about business case, yeah. So why we want to do this form? Yeah? What's sales? What's innovation inside? How put the company in the edge to compete with your competitor. Right? Then you write the business case. So we already talked about, you already done decision metrics, right? So you should use this one for your case study to convince your client to accept your recommendation to pay you $1 million consulting fee. So now to say how to plan a project. Yeah. So this is more detail when you do project management. You need to use software and do a lot of project management. And so typically you need to plan your project. What's your goal? Yeah, you want to develop a phone or build a house, building, right? I want to ever work hard, achieve this case study solution, and get 4 marks, get A, right? This is your goal. Then you divide the project different stage, right? Yeah, every product has different stage, right? This building, you do foundation first, yeah. Then you're doing, the layer 1, layer 2, layer 5. Then decoration, right? This kind of stage. It's a little things. Then you identify the task. Then you define deliverable. Every stage, what are you going to do? Your deliverable. Yeah? What's your outcome from your effort? Then some of them is sequential. The task is sequential. Right? Easy to remember, right? Before build this building, you need to build foundation. Without the foundation, you do nothing. Wow. Even before foundation, you have the architecture design. Everything well designed, approval, right? Then you build layer 1, floor 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 5, right? It's sequential, some of the tasks. And then you assign resource for each of the who are doing design, who are doing foundation, who are doing layer 1, who are doing furniture, right? The different skill set, different requirement. Then you estimate how long for you to build the foundation, right? So that's the duration for the task. And then you're doing budgeting. How many people, how much material cost, right? All this one you have to do calculation. So the project scope very important for project manager. Make sure you define the right project scope. What should be there? What should not be there? Yeah. Don't do something too aggressive because you will be delayed. And as a project manager, it's not good. Yeah. You delay your project deliverable. So this project scope is very important to manage it. So what's part of the project, what is not this part, right? Very often, right? The people see something is very good, your big boss asks you, they want more. They expand the project scope. Then cost your project delay, eventually fail. Yeah? So sometimes you're very tough. Even your boss, you're very tough. No, we cannot do it. Yeah? If you do that, you give me another 1 year time. You have to give me another $3 million, right? Yeah. So the project manager sometimes very tough. Yeah. Okay. I have a lot of tough project manager. Yeah. You have to dare say no to your boss regarding the project scope. So eventually, each of the project you need to break down to task level. Yeah. This is called work breakdown structure. Basically, you break big things, big tasks to small tasks, right? For example, the software project, right? Typical software, doing digital twin software, right? It's kind of a lot of software, right? They're doing all this, basically your project planning, yeah? They're doing function requirement, in a front end store software, and supply chain software, and AI, data analysis portion of the software portion, right? Each of the functions is doing. So how to use, people love to do remote shopping, use AI, VR, it's goggle, right? So this is related to, UI, yeah? And the data structure, you put in the database, And for the what kind of data structure, yeah, you need to specify. And how many versions build, each of the builds different version. Then you're doing testing, because you have a front end store software, you have a back end supply chain software, you have a data analysis AI software, right? You have UI, you integrate them together, doing testing. Yeah. Then you sign a separate test, yeah, by your clients. Can be internal, can be external. So you need to break down to more than the function level and the task level. So there's two techniques we need to introduce today, yeah, but you need to learn a lot when you take this course. So one is called PERT. You must learn. Yeah, it's called Program Evaluation and Review Techniques. Yeah, PERT. Have you anybody heard about this technique? No, PERT. Yeah. So idea is pretty simple. Okay. So you do something from beginning to end. In the building, you team project, digitally, from start to nothing. Then you have something, right? And you have the task. Some of the tasks you have to do sequential, right? In order to build so nice building, right? You're doing, design. You're doing ground floor, then second floor. So this must be sequential, right? You cannot do this floor without the ground. Yeah. So you must do sequential. Start, E, finish. Yeah. And so this is also called critical path. Yeah. Anything delay with that will delay your project. You agree? Yeah. If you save 1 day in the ground, you potentially save 1 day in the total project time, say 100 days. Yeah. So this is a critical path. Some of them you can do parallel when doing building. So which one can do parallel? Right? When you do building, you put all these furniture things doing parallel. This is where you have a different person department person together, build, maybe some of them build together, right? When doing you do ground work, right? So some of them can do in parallel. Yeah. So this is not independent each other. Okay. So this each box is task. Yeah. Then you connect them together based on the who should be first, who should be next, who should be in parallel. It's called network. Yeah. It's kind of project planning technique. So you need to define sequential activity each in a task, and each of the tasks, what's the resource allocation. So what's the resource you do this floor, right? What is the resource? The people, right? The glasses, and this is the carpet, right? And everything, right? Then determine, this resource location. Then critical path. This red one is critical path. From start, B, E, F, finish. Yeah. The critical path means this must be done in sequential. And any delay in this path will cause you project delay. So this way you need to manage this critical path. So this PIT help you to lay out all the tasks and also identify this critical path. Then, as a project manager, you make sure you manage this critical path. Now make sure that do on time, no delay. Yeah. Otherwise, your project cannot be finished on time. That's why I call critical path. Okay. So that's you can do manually do this kind. Which one is critical path? And when you do project management, but a lot of software. Anybody use project management software? Anybody know any project management software? Yeah, the Microsoft, yeah? That's a very popular one. Yeah, that can identify which is the critical path. Yeah, because each task have earlier starting time, latest start time, earlier finish time, latest finish time. So with that time, they can identify this red critical path. Okay, so that's about, you will learn this more detail, PRT, when you take a certification, you must learn. Stakeholder, right? See, a typical project, right? You ownership of this project. Yeah, you are stakeholder, and you the investor for this project to invest this building, right? That is a stakeholder. And some of them positively influence, some of them negatively influence this project, right? So that's why you need doing project management, also doing report. Always report your project status, yeah, and to your stakeholder of your project. And you also need to change in, some of them, want to change the project scope, right? You need to doing changing management board to make a common decision, make sure, because there's high impact, your project resource, budget, or schedule. So this is the important things. You need to keep a high-level framework. You need to set up your project scope right. Yeah, don't allow to slip away, and you need to be aware the conflict interest, right? Yeah, different participants have different interest. Yeah, common sense, right? Yeah, and if you develop something, right? Some people say, "Oh, I want more advanced technology, more cost stuff," right? Well, the engineer say, "You develop that. We have no such capacity doing that." Yeah, waiting for another 5 years. Yeah, so it's always conflict, but you need to manage the different conflicting interests. That's hard part of the project management. You need to manage the people, different people, then strike right balance, okay, within time pressure, within the budget pressure, yeah, within the resource constraint. Then what's your feature date? Yeah, that's why your team leader also face same thing. Yeah, you need to manage this your resource, achieve your goal. And then to that rank to set up a project of course, right? Very often, your boss, your big boss, want to do more, right? Eventually, you allow that to happen, right? This project will be fair. And make sure you're doing right, accurate status report. Typically weekly, right? You published your project status right now. What's right now? Level 3, and we have done the floor. Yeah, we have not done any of the theory yet. Yeah, so this is the status report. You also manage the change management, control that change, and always assess project risk, right? A risk for unexpected reason. Oh, COVID-19. Next week, COVID-19, right? Nobody want to work in this building anymore, right? That's a risk. Yeah, and define clear, successful criteria. What's criteria, right? Typically within budget and resource and time. So change management, right? Very important for change management. Even, I remember when this new building there, that's empty. Nobody, that's smelly, right? Nobody loves to come here, right? Yeah. So now everybody loves to come here, right? People change the habit. And change control board, CCP. Access risk uncertainty. This is very interesting, right? So always you access risk. You don't want your first project to fail, right? Then your career will fail. Yeah. So this is interesting, right? The typical project, technically, because the engineer, the constructor worker want to do it, technically probably 80% of the probability they can do it. Yeah. However, whether people like to rent this place or people want to buy this phone is commercial. Commercial suggests only 20%, right? You do something, you forecast, predict who will use the phone. That's a big issue for Facebook, right? Yeah, you spend too much money on this Metaverse, yeah? Now it takes a long time for adoption. Yeah? So now I have to painfully lay off a lot of people. Yeah? So this related to commercial success only 20%. So if you combine this together, only 16% success for every project. You know how to calculate this 16%? Yeah? The two factors, right? One is technical success, 80%, 0.8. But commercial success is only 0.2. Time together, right? It's it's modification, right? So that's why you need to manage the project risk. It's pretty low, yeah, for success. Particularly you are the project management, you don't want to fail for first two projects, right? Yeah, you have to change your job after one or two fail. So you need it's called risk impact matrix. Typical project, right? Some of them high impact, some of them low impact. Yeah. For example, digitally can be high impact if you do that successfully, right? Yeah. Future grocery store, right? No people, everything based on your AI, delivery to your refrigerator, analyze your refrigerator. Yeah. You're hungry, you got food there, right? This is a high impact, but also high risk. Yeah. And so you should avoid high impact, high risk project. Yeah, you select probably high impact, low risk project, right? Of course, you can do maybe first project doing low risk, low impact to start with, successful. Then doing high impact, low risk. Okay. So project is very important. Yeah, it's the renewal of your organization, whatever you are, the company innovation or your IT. Yeah, so that's why project manager is hot. So this is typical project management qualification. They need you business industry knowledge. They need you have a project planning and management skills. The PERT you must know. Yeah. And then you need leadership, communication skills, presentation skills. You have to convince your boss. Yeah, you need this kind of budget. Yeah. So nowadays, the project manager also product manager. Put two together. Then you need more communication skill. Yeah, and you need kind of a PM certification. That's a lot of certification, right? Make sure you get the right certification. Yeah, you check, search Google. Who is hiring PM? Then see what certificate they require. Right? Yeah, a lot of scam certificate, right? Yeah. Then spend money on the scam certificate. On MBA design and typical conversation about senior engineer level. Yeah. Okay, so this is about project management. Then we talk about this Agile.
The process of creating an information system is referred to as the Systems Development Lifecycle, SDLC. The first step in the SDLC is the planning or investigation phase. During this phase, a feasibility study is conducted to determine whether the new system is feasible. The next phase is the analysis phase. During this phase, the requirements of the information system are clearly defined.